are seats here on this side of the room, excuse me, and there's some seats in the front. So my name is Kiran Malhotra. I'm the Executive Director for Thai Silicon Valley, and I'm delighted to welcome you to our Cloud Special Interest Group program for tonight. We have a fantastic panel made up of our Thai 50 winners, and I will let the chairs introduce them a little bit later. But usually what I like to do at the beginning of each event is I like to give you a little bit of a background about Thai and who we are. I know a lot of you who are members and non-members know who we are, so I'd like to see a showing of hands of our members first. Okay, so when I see all the members like that, what I do is I pick one and then you come up here and give the Thai history. So, did I scare some of you? So, we were founded in 1992 right here in the Silicon Valley by a group of entrepreneurs who came to this country mostly from the South Asian region, and they became very successful as entrepreneurs. And they did this by the seat of their own pants and their own brains. And they said, you know what, we would like to help other entrepreneurs succeed, and we would like to mentor them and, and give them things that we didn't have. So that's what they did. They started coming together on a monthly basis, and they started telling their stories. They would invite other entrepreneurs who were up and coming at that time. And so lo and behold, from the Silicon Valley in 1992, from that little group of people, grew an organization that became global into 57 chapters in 13 countries. And the sole purpose remains and has always been to foster and nurture entrepreneurship. And that is entrepreneurs from anywhere, any region, any background. As long as you are interested in entrepreneurship, you are supporting an entrepreneur, you are an intrapreneur, you are welcome at Thai. So we have 4 major stakeholders of Thai. The fourth one is made up of the first 3, but we've got our member community, which a lot of you are part of. And then we have our charter member community. Now our charter members are very, very highly accomplished entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs, high-level corporate executives, academics, and they're invited to be part of this group. And they're invited to be here because we want the one thing that is the most important thing that anybody can give of themselves, and that's their time and intellectual capital. And so we have about 300 of these such people in the Valley, and I have several of them in the audience today, and I always look at the list of attendees before they come, so I know who's in the room. So I'd like to see a showing of hands of all the CMs, all of the backbone of this organization. Can you raise your hands really high? So for those of you who are sitting around the room, take a look at who is closest to you or who isn't closest to you, and go find one of these people and go sit next to them and get to know them, because they will give you some, whatever valuable connection, whatever advice, whatever you need. So raise your hands again. You see these people, go find them and go make a friend. I'd like to point out a few of our charter members who are in the audience today, who are part of my board of directors. At Thai, we have a 7-member board of directors and made up of the charter member base. And beginning with our president, Mr. Vish Mishra, he's in the front. I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, know Vish. Vish is a self-proclaimed Thai junkie. He's been a charter member since the beginning. He's been our president for the last couple of years, and he is a wonderful support to our board of directors and staff and volunteers of Thai. He's actually the chief volunteer. And then we have a couple of other board members here with Naveen Bisht, who is our program chair, who's responsible for all the programming at the overall level. And then we have Paul Singh, who has just returned from India. He's our marketing chair and the marketing genius behind all the things that we do at Thai. So all those emails that you get from me and all of those things that you say are from me, they're really from him. He drives all that, so it's his fault. He drives the marketing program from the top. So thank you to all of our charter members. You really are the backbone of the organization, and so thanks to your support, we couldn't do the programs that we do without you. Then we have the third constituency of our ecosystem, and that's our sponsor community. And these are organizations who are the top tier VCs, the law firms, banks, corporates, and they provide the capital. So our charter members are our backbone, sponsors are the lifeblood of our organization. And we've got a bunch of sponsors in the audience today. I'd like to see the sponsors. I know IBM is here, I think Co-America is here, Silicon Valley Bank, To all of our sponsors, thank you so much for the support that you provide us. We couldn't do the programs that we do without your support as well. So thank you very much for that. So speaking of our programs, we have, you can see here, we have a whole bunch of different programs. We have these special interest groups, like this one. We've got 5 such groups: life sciences, cloud, mobile, social, and energy. And then we've got our forums, which are the Economic Forum, the Thai Women's Forum, and those are kind of cross-industry along those broader topic areas. We do special events. We do the Thai Institute, which is our educational programs, kind of the how-to, the practical advice for entrepreneurs. We do networking mixers that are purely networking, and come have a cocktail, have a snack, and meet your next business partner, your next colleague, your next board member, that sort of thing. We just launched a year ago our program called Thai Angels. I want to spend a few minutes on Thai Angels, but first I want to find out who in the room is started a company and is looking for seed funding. Anybody? Just one person? Really? Okay, you then. Or any of your friends. This program is amazing. We started this program a year ago in August. We have funded 9 companies now. It's going to probably be 10. To the tune of about $500,000 each, which is quite remarkable. And these companies are fantastic companies. And the unique thing about Thai Angels is that the angels are all very, very knowledgeable in terms of all the technology, the deep technology sectors. And we also provide the thing that Thai is known for, which is the mentoring portion of it. So the companies get really, they get to the mentoring, they get to find their next business partner, their next customer. So I think Thai Angels, if you're interested in that, go directly to our website, thaisb.org. You can click on Thai Angels, you can apply right online, and applications are accepted on a rolling basis. And I think there's only 2 members of the steering committee here tonight, and that's Vish and Naveen. Is that it? So if you're interested, talk to them. You can also talk to me. And I hope that many of you will encourage your colleagues and friends also to apply to Thai Angels. The other program that I briefly want to mention was the My Story, and I think, Naveen, you're going to talk a little bit about the new program that we launched in April as well, featuring successful entrepreneurs. And then, of course, Tycon 2012, save the date, May 18th and 19th for next year. Did you all attend Tycon this year? Yep. We had almost 4,000 attendees this year with fantastic content, keynotes, pictures, all of that information is on the Tycon website under wrap-up. So if you would like to take a look at the keynotes from this year, if you weren't able to attend, or even if you were, you can go to the wrap-up and all of the keynotes are there, as well as pictures and all sorts of other interesting information about this year's event. Lastly, I would like to mention our 4th who caught that I only mentioned 3 constituents? Did anybody pay attention to me? Did you? I knew you paid attention. So our 4th constituent is made up of all 3 of these other ones, and that's our volunteer base. And I left that to Tycon for a specific reason. We use volunteers for everything, except for myself and my 4 paid staff, the folks that you see at the door helping with the badges, the folks that put together this program and all of our programs, the board of directors, everybody is a volunteer, so they donate their time for Thai. And Tycon is our biggest volunteer event, so we don't hire a company to do this. We use our 5 staff and volunteers to produce the world's largest conference for entrepreneurs. So to all of the people who are volunteering their time, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, from the staff and from the other volunteers. Your contribution to Thai is noted and very much appreciated. And I would like to thank my team. I've got a great team of 4 women. You met Patricia, who puts together all of our programs, and then I would like to thank my board of directors, and without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Naveen.
Thank you, Kiran. Before I start, let's give a round of applause to Kiran and 4 of our staff members. Who is the manager for all these programs, really behind the scenes. She does a superb job of reaching out to all the co-chairs and the accomplished panelists we'll have here. So without taking much time, my name is Naveen Bisht. I'm the chair for Thai Silicon Valley programs starting this year, thanks to this. So we are all volunteers. So we would really encourage all of you to get involved with Thai. And only this year, what we did was we revived a lot of the programs, like with obviously the goal and the mission of Thai, which is fostering entrepreneurship by keeping that in mind. So we have, like Kiran mentioned, cloud. We know cloud is one of the paradigm-changing trends, and which is real. So that's the program. We are having our first program with our 2 new co-chairs, and I will introduce them shortly. Before that, I wanted to tell you about one more program we started, My Story, early this year in March. The idea was, I remember as an entrepreneur back in mid-90s when Thai got started, actually first Tycon was held in '94. By the way, let me ask a quick question. How many of you have attended Tycon, all the Tycons? Me too. So since '94, I have attended all the Tycons. So I was a volunteer and helped out, and then member. I met my first angel investor in my first third Tycon in 1996, and that company was successfully sold to Novell in 3 years. So that's the advantage of being here. So I'm sure at least we have one one entrepreneur who's looking for money. I'm sure we'll find somebody. So my story was, one of the things I used to cherish in those days was, we used to have, first talk I went to was Babu, who was one of the successful South Asian entrepreneurs who had sold his company to Cadence by bootstrapping for 90 million, I remember, in '89. So he had come and spoken, and I always used to enjoy coming and listening to Dr. Suhas Patil, Kanwal Rekhi, and all those people. So similarly, this year we launched this program called My Story to have entrepreneurs share their exciting journey who have exited in the last 12 to 18 months, since March. So March we had Sanjay Srivastava, who sold his company without taking any VC money for $320 million to Cadence last year. Of course, he built it over a period of 15 years. But there is one entrepreneur. Then in April, we had Samir Arora, who is a serial entrepreneur. He has a company called Glam.com, Glam Media, which is going to go public, one of the high-flying social media companies targeted towards women. And then recently, in June, we had Carl Mehta. Within 3 years, he sold a company to Visa for $250 million or so in the digital monetization space. So just different kind of entrepreneurs, giving you a flavor. Now we have one coming next Tuesday, one entrepreneur who has built his company to 2,400 people, and Hitachi bought it for it's one of the largest private transactions. So Raju Reddy will be here on Tuesday. Those who are interested, please come on over. Then in August, we have another entrepreneur, Anand Rajaraman, who is a serial entrepreneur, just sold his company to Walmart for over 300 million. So, a traditional company buying an online company. So you have these, and you'll really enjoy it. It's usually first Tuesday of every month. Sometimes dates are changed a little bit to accommodate the program. So that's one I would really encourage to have you come. So now, what I would like to do is I'd like to introduce our 2 new co-chairs. We have AllWin Sequeira and Pradeep Shankar. And AllWin is also, he calls himself a startup junkie. But right now he's in a big high-flying Fortune 100 company. He's VP and CTO of networking and security services at VMware. But before, if some of you remember who have been in networking, must have heard of Ralph Ungerman. So he was co-founder and CTO with Ralph Ungerman of a company called First Virtual Corporation, which went public. Then he was involved with a number of other startup companies which were bought, including the one, Blue Lane, which was bought by VMware, and now he's the CTO for security and networking services there. And so I really appreciate his getting involved and being co-chair for cloud. Then we have Pradeep Shankar. Again, he's a serial entrepreneur. He was co-founder and VP of engineering of NetBoost in mid-90s, a company which was bought by Intel in later part of 90s. And then after that, he was at Intel, VP General Manager, as well as he started a few other companies. And now, most recently, he's at Eriksson, VP of Technology Alliances. So I'm really, I'm really thankful to them and for being part of TIE and being volunteers. So with that, I'd like to introduce AllWin. And of course, they have a very highly accomplished panel for today.
Thanks, Naveen. Without much ado, let me go ahead and get Pradeep and the panel to start coming up here. I am really excited to be here. My 2 big passions, startups and now technology, cloud computing. I can tell you, I get asked this all the time, where's the investment in cloud, what are the areas to look at? I can tell you, almost every single major company in the world is trying to build cloud stacks, whether it's private enterprise cloud, whether hybrid clouds, public cloud. So a lot of investment coming out there. Companies are willing to spend a lot of money every day. So I'm really excited, some of the startups here, exciting to see this panel of 4, but keep it coming because I think there's never been a transformation as significant as the one going on in data centers today, and we expect to see that trend only accelerate over the next 10, 15 years. So keep those startups coming. Thank you.
So why don't you guys have a seat? So when we were trying to choose a date for this particular event, Monday was a holiday, 4th of July, and we were thinking, hey, maybe this is vacation week and we wouldn't have a significant turnout. I mean, clearly there was no cause for concern. This is overflowing crowd. Delighted to have all of you here. As Naveen said, my name is Pradeep Shankar. I'm at Eriksson doing strategic alliances within their IP and broadband organization. Just since I have the mic, just a few words about this Cloud SIG. It's a new SIG. It's really evolved from the Thai software SIG. And given the impact that the whole cloud industry and the cloud technology is expected to have on the entire IT industry, it seemed natural to focus on cloud. We renamed the SIG, and it's the Cloud SIG. In terms of scope of activities for the SIG, it's going to be fairly broad, in addition to the classical services that the cloud industry offers, application, platform, infrastructure, and those kinds of things. We want to focus on technology and business enablers that might fuel this transformation, because frankly, that's where oftentimes you'll find those winning opportunities. And so we're going to have a series of programs over the coming year for this Cloud SIG. We'll cover a gamut of subjects from technology to funding. Should be interesting to entrepreneurs, investors, corporate folks as well. And certainly hope to get your full participation, your suggestions and feedback to make this SIG successful would be quite welcome. In terms of the session today, this is really about the emerging cloud landscape as typified by some hot startups. Okay, so they are the indicators of a new world, and we in fact had the Thai 50 contest just recently in May as part of Tycon 2011, and each of the panelists here represents a company that was a Thai 50 winner. And those of you, many of you know about this Thai 50 program. It's an annual contest. There were almost 2,000 applications, I think, this year, 1,900 or 2,000 applications. And each of the startups chosen is chosen on the basis of an exemplary leadership team, strong IP, business model, and so on. So all of these startups were recognized at Tycon, but today you have an opportunity to really get to know them in a little bit more detail, understand the challenges that they've faced, what's been key to their success, as well as ask them any questions that you might have. So it's really about that interaction. This particular panel is about that interaction. And as you will see, SugarSync to Gluster, they're all in different places, but they represent the new cloud landscape. And so I certainly am looking forward to hearing what they have to say. And as I said, we'll have presentations followed by Q&A at the end. I want to start off by asking each of our panelists to do a brief introduction of themselves. Quick 30-second introduction. Brock, we'll start with you.
Go ahead. Hello. Okay. Hi, Brock LaPorte, VP of Engineering at SugarSync. Long history of consumer-facing internet products and services. Joined SugarSync just under 6 months ago, so relatively new, but lots going on, and I'll just echo the comment in the introduction about there's so much interest in this space, from cellular service providers to enterprises to direct consumer businesses. Is just a phenomenal time to be in this area.
Hello.
Yep, can you hear me? Okay. Hey, I'm Jaibala. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Claritics. I've been in the analytics and browsing ERP space for more than 15 years. Just started Claritics about almost a year back. It just feels like 2 months. It's, I just echo the comments of both Brock as well as Pradeep that it's exciting times. There are some really paradigm shifting technologies and approaches to problems that have been solved in more traditional patterns in the past. So I'm looking forward to all the panelist speeches as well as my presentation.
Hi folks, my name is Joe Boyle. I'm the Director of Product Management at Silver Peak Systems, focusing on cloud and virtualization. I've been in networking for about 14 years. I started coming out of college working in telecoms for large telecom switches, which are huge beasts of hardware, and gradually moved into the enterprise space. We're focusing on enterprise solutions, and the size of the hardware that I was shifting was becoming smaller and smaller. And then in the mid-2000s, I joined a small startup that was the first company to try and do WAN optimization as a virtual product, wholly in software. From that, I've moved into Silicon Valley about a year ago, and I'm now working with Silver Peak, obviously, and everything is moving. The trends are just, it's unstoppable, again, moving into the cloud, and it's all as a service infrastructure, and it's a really exciting space to be in.
Anand, Babu, Periasamay. You can call me AB. I dedupe my name. I am the CTO and co-founder of Gluster. It's basically a cloud file system or cloud storage software, and you can build Google-like storage yourself. Just buying a bunch of commodity machines and load the software. It's open source, and if you're using Pandora, Netflix, or any of these, probably you're already using Gluster. Like all of those songs and these videos come from Gluster storage. Thank you.
Thanks. So let's start with Brock, your presentation. I think we have the wrong presentation. Patricia, we may need your help here.
Okay, hello everyone. You hear me okay? I think so. Thanks to the TIE organization for inviting us to speak. I'm very happy to be here. I was particularly pleased because I see I got promoted to CTO, so I was very happy about that. Anyway, VP of Engineering. So what I've got is a little bit of information about the space that SugarSync's product operates in, the problem we see, and the problem we're trying to solve. A few company factoids, just to orient you on company history a little bit. Then a little blurb or two about the technology, and if there are more questions on that, we can handle that after the presentation. And then a little bit about the areas of interest that we see as we're talking to partners and customers and so on. So I'll just jump into that. So in terms of the problem space that we're in, basically, as you all know very well, data is being created more and more on a wider and wider variety of devices. You've got just amazingly capable smartphones and tablets and mobile devices that are generating a lot more content than they were just a couple of years ago. So you've got your PCs, you've got your mobile devices, soon there'll be set-top boxes and so on, but lots of different ways in which content can be created, and people more and more having many devices. And so it's not just about your one laptop that you carry around with you or your one phone. You've got this issue with data that you generate in different places, and how do you keep all that? How do you keep track of all that? How do you access it when you're not at the one computer that you created it on? And so SugarSync's technology is really oriented around push-oriented sync. And so, I guess before I get too far ahead of myself, I'll just go into the next slide. So we see that issue of lots and lots of content being generated across lots and lots of devices, and access to that data as the problem space that we're operating in. So this kind of introduces a new paradigm. well, all of this innovation around devices has introduced this new paradigm, and we refer to that as the personal cloud. And the problem about getting access to all of that data wherever you are, no matter what you're doing, and hopefully being able to not only view that data, but edit that data, that's the space we're in. And in addition to that, we want to now allow people to back that data up. We want them to share it with people. And so that's really the focus of where our product is. Now, just before I go on, actually, how many people have had a chance to use SugarSync? Just a few people? So I'll just describe the product very briefly in a little more detail. So we have Windows and OS X client software that you install on your Mac and PCs. And that software basically sits there watching for changes. And those changes can come in many forms. One might be I create a new file using Word or PowerPoint or Photoshop or whatever, and that's in a folder that is configured to be a folder that is synced with the SugarSync service. Client picks up that change, checks to see whether a copy of that file already exists in the cloud. If not, it uploads that file. If it's a large file, it'll upload just the delta to that file so it's nice and efficient. And then any other devices, whether it's another computer or mobile devices, will be basically right away notified of that change. Or if they're not online, when they come online, they'll be notified of that change. And then if there's a file download needed, that download will occur. And so basically, you can keep all of your devices in sync with one another. There's a lot of flexibility built in that allows you to just set SugarSync up once, work the way you like to work, organize the data the way you like to organize your data, and SugarSync just works behind the scenes to make that all happen. You don't have to remember anything. A few company facts. I think I've already spoken to the first bullet. We've got about 50 people headquartered in San Mateo, privately held. Our investors are DFJ, Selby Ventures, and Sigma Partners. We were started as Sharpcast in 2004. I didn't get that on the slide. But about 2 years ago, Sharpcast went through a rebranding exercise to make the company name a little more aligned with the product, to make it a little more consumer friendly. And so we came up with SugarSync, and that's where we are today. In terms of growth, as I said, an amazing time to be in this space. From 2009 to 2010, we experienced about a 7x revenue growth, and we expect an even higher multiple for 2011 over 2010. We have, I guess I'd say our main business is our direct-to-consumer business with small, medium businesses supported as well. And so the partnerships that we look for, we try to emphasize that direct business. And so basically we try to look for distribution deals that help us get SugarSync onto more devices, more computers, but all in support of adding people to the cloud and the user base that we support for our direct business. And so you can see the list of partnerships. There's another one that was just announced in France last week. We have a partnership with the cell provider Orange in France to provide a online storage solution for their small business offering. And in the coming weeks, you'll hear about some more large deals as well. So just to talk about these partnerships, just very briefly, Best Buy, that's purely a distribution deal. Korea Telecom is an interesting one. It's less of a distribution deal and more, it's actually a standalone deployment of the SugarSync service that supports KT's 7 million mobile subscribers. It's a product called uCloud that they built on top of our platform. And so that doesn't fit in necessarily with the build the direct business type of deal, but it definitely proved that actually in a very short period of time, a company can call SugarSync, we can have a service up and running in a matter of single-digit number of weeks in terms of a fully operational cloud-based syncing service. SoftBank, there are distributors in the Japanese market. WebRoot is a white label service for their whole security suite. GoodReader represents an example of mobile application integrations. So there are a number of products you can get on the Android platform or iOS that basically lets you access documents in your SugarSync account and edit those, view those, whatever you want to do, and then upload the changes back to your account. IOBit, that's a very recent development. That's a distribution agreement that'll hit about 100 million users. And then QVC is kind of an interesting one. We're bundled on all tablets sold, which amounts to 500,000 units a month. So that's kind of a nice one. So stay tuned for some more large partnership announcements in the coming weeks. In terms of our keys to growth, we think we're addressing a complete approach to the cloud. So we've got a very comprehensive feature set. In fact, in some ways, our feature set is very rich enough that it can be confusing to users. So we're actually undergoing a complete user interface revamp to try to make the service a little more intuitive to use. And we don't tie people to specific platforms. And so, obviously Apple's iCloud service is going to be a hit, I'm sure. It obviously ties you into their whole ecosystem. Amazon and its cloud offering ties you into the Android ecosystem. We're trying to play across all of those and provide a solution that is valid in all of those domains. As I mentioned before, you can just set up SugarSync and it just operates in the background without you having to remember to drag a file to a folder to share it or that kind of thing. So as an example, on my iPad in my backpack over there, I've got at the moment just 2 computers synced, but my MacBook Pro at home, which has some personal files, my kids' sports schedules and whatnot, and my work laptop, which has basically all of my SugarSync files and folders and everything in my documents folder. And so from that iPad, I can access any of those files at any time, even if those computers are off, make changes, and as I bring those computers back up, those changes are synchronized. So it's extremely convenient, and I don't have to remember to do anything. I can add folders, add files, and they all just work. We also put a lot of effort into mobile devices. So in terms of online sync and storage services, we cover the broadest spectrum of mobile devices of anybody. And we think that's very important. Obviously, there's a huge amount of growth in that area. And so we're constantly working to provide better and better feature sets and get those mobile devices closer and closer to a full-fledged desktop client in terms of active sync as we can. And then, as I mentioned, we've got a wide variety of partnerships, and we see that as a very critical element to our growth in terms of gaining market share. In terms of key technology, as I mentioned, we have a proprietary push sync implementation that's patented, going back quite some time, and we think that's a key patent for us. One of the things that is unusual about our implementation is it's not specific at all to file sync. So we've got essentially a generalized metadata push sync mechanism that, given a client that knows how to extract attributes from any object on the computer, whether it's a file or a piece of a file or any property value pair you can come up with, we'll sync that without any major schema changes, without any big upgrades or migrations necessary. And so that extensibility at the metadata sync level, we think, gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of the types of partnerships that we can address effectively, the value of the technology, and we see that as a big positive attribute of our technology. In addition, on the platform side, we've designed in a very easy to extend mechanism in the sense that as new requirements come along that we need to address, say a new set of metadata comes along, it's very easy for us, again, without big schema changes or data migrations or anything risky from a service standpoint, we can add functionality to operate on that metadata as the system becomes aware of it. So there's a whole internal notification mechanism that lets us pick up changes like that, perform an operation on that metadata or a file associated with that metadata, and then do the right thing when it comes to the clients. And I've already mentioned that we have the ability to sync any folder rather than just operate within one folder. Our core push sync protocol has a lightweight implementation that helps us on the mobile side, so that basically the same the same protocol that our desktop clients speak is also spoken by our mobile clients, and that gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of making those mobile clients as as close to that fully functioning active sync client as our desktop clients are. I mentioned one patent. We've got two additional patents that are one's allowed, one's actually granted, and then another set of patents pending. So we think we're well covered from an IP standpoint. We have some interesting ways to integrate with the service as well. Like any good cloud service company, we've got our web service type APIs that allow for mobile client integration. We've got entire web applications built on top of this REST API. We also are able to embed our desktop client inside another client. So that means that if a company comes along that has a particular application in a particular space that needs to sync metadata, files, whatever, behind that to another instance of that application or some other aspect of their service, the SugarSync client can be embedded in a faceless manner inside that application so that the full file system watching metadata sync mechanism can be utilized in a custom context. So again, another piece of flexibility that we've got that has really opened the doors to the variety of partners that we're seeing. And in terms of scalability, we as I was telling a friend of mine earlier this evening, we can hardly buy hardware fast enough. And maybe there'll be some questions later about hosting in EC2 type services versus data centers. We're in a data center with some storage, sort of a second tier of storage in Amazon S3. But we're growing quickly, and we can hardly buy hardware fast enough. Okay, so the next few slides talk about the areas of growth that we see. I think there's probably no surprise that there's huge growth in the mobile device area. So I won't talk about this in a lot of detail. But the bottom two bullets I will point out, actually the bottom three bullets. So personal digital data doubling every 2 years. So the amount of data that you're generating with your own devices, as I'm sure you probably recognize, is just exploding. We see a lot of need, or the lines between, well, I gave you a use case where I have some personal information and some work information all in my SugarSync cloud account. We see that happening all over the place, where enterprises want to have a clear line between personal and enterprise data, but the solutions for both of those areas are really converging. And then mobile devices are becoming more and more desktop-like, more fully functional, and so that whole area is really converging. So that drives a lot of our product roadmap. I mentioned briefly we have support for small, medium businesses. This is definitely an area that we see a lot of interest in. We have a number of enterprise companies talking to us about how SugarSync might be adapted to more of an enterprise type of situation. So that's definitely an area that we see a lot of interest in. Being able to extend the platform through a developer community, this is something that we have. We've got a REST-based API right now that it's got to be way better than it is right now. It's got to have better documentation, a better SDK around those basic REST methods, and so that's something that we see as very strategic, and we're putting effort into improving. This slide is intended to illustrate how people, data that people generate needs to be used in other contexts, and the example here is in online photo services and social media. And so integration with those types of services is another thing that we see as very important for our own growth and just to make SugarSync as relevant as possible for the widest possible variety of users. And this is my last slide, and it just kind of illustrates our core thinking every day, which is no matter what the device, no matter what the data, I don't want to have to think about it. I just want it accessible and up to date on whatever device I have, whether it's work data or personal data. And that's it.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. I'll keep him on shot.
When he's bringing the slide up, I just also want to add that the Claritics is one of the Thai Angel funded company as well, not only does the Thai 50 winners. So
Yeah, sure, yeah. Okay, yeah, so I'll keep it to 8 minutes. My name is Jaibala. So first of all, thanks for coming. I know we've had a couple of gorgeous summer evenings, so I'm sure there's always an alternative of walking into the harbor with the family, so thanks for coming. Claritics is basically a company that's in the social intelligence space. So this comes from the past backgrounds of both myself and my co-founder called Raj Pai. So we've been in the analytics, enterprise warehousing, ERP space, and one key problem that we saw was that these analytics initiatives take so long that by the time they actually come to some fruition, the market conditions have changed, the requirements have changed. So really, our basic vision was that first of all, with so many things that are happening out there, the latency of that has to be much shorter. And I'll actually place that in the context of what you're going to see here. This is our workplace. So we just moved to this place about 3 months back. We started about a year back. The venture funded form of the company is about 3 months old. So we're actually Series A funded by a company called Servant Ventures and Thai Angels. So we announced our company in the month of May, and then it's been so busy that within a month we actually put out our beta product, and then we've got a series of milestones all the way to the end of the year. What's the basic idea behind Claritics? We think that there is actually a fundamental shift that's happening with respect to how we need to approach analytics. So you saw email, you saw search, then you had social and mobile. One of the things that's happening with social and mobile is that there is so much that so much data that's being produced, and going back to the latency around analytics, that really the ability to change the apps that you put out. The ability to change the apps that you put out, needs to be pretty close to real time. So that's where we see that the traditional way of approaching analytics completely breaks down. So this is the perfect market storm where we thought, why don't we actually kind of turn the problem upside down, rather than actually seeing it as something that you build ground up, kind of treat it more like an application, and out of the box kind of appification kind of a story. So that's really the vision here. The market opportunity is huge, so we did spend quite a bit of time in terms of identifying, what is the market size, what is the market opportunity. So right now we are actually focused on, the social games and the social commerce space for the rest of the year, and at least for the next 6 to 12 months. We think there's a huge shift that's happening, especially around social commerce, because a lot of the e-commerce that's happening over the websites, there's a prediction that in about 4 years, almost 25% of that is going to be on social media and mobile platforms. And then there's obviously the enterprise analytic apps, which is a traditional the market, but then that also, if you actually view it from a different perspective, is something that's ripe for change in terms of what kind of solutions can be put out. So really, the vision is amplification of analytics. So simply democratize analytics and then get to insights much faster. Really, there is an opportunity here to actually harness and harvest the data, such that you can do changes to your apps in probably less than a few days, in less than a few hours as well. I'm going to play a quick video, and then after that, just read through my slides here.
So you're conducting e-commerce in the social world. Congratulations. You've got millions of people following you, liking your products, engaging with your brand, and telling their friends all about it. With each event, you capture all this rich data about your users, what they like and dislike, their social behaviors, that sort of thing. All of which makes your reach, retention, and revenue campaigns really work, right? Not quite. There's so much data, you feel like you're drowning. And it's coming at you so quickly that by the time you come up for air, the ship has left the dock. This is where Claritics comes in. We provide a suite of social analytics applications that tames the flood of data. With Claritics Social Intelligence, you'll gain a better understanding of where your users are coming from, what they're doing within your application, and what hooks them into a purchase. We'll analyze the data for you and provide insights in real time so you can quickly see what has the greatest impact on your business. But that's not all. We'll even help you establish automated processes derived from your social intelligence that will make continuous improvements to your campaigns. So master the sea of data and get smart about social commerce.
So that in a nutshell is basically what we are about to do. So, we just got started in terms of putting out products. Our main focus is that, so far analytics has been about, thinking about what happened in the past in terms of charts and numbers and dials. But then we think that there's an opportunity where, you need to go beyond that. You need to actually have some ways by which, you can act on the data that comes up such that it can make changes to your business. And right now our customers are, companies that have applications in the social space. This could be social gaming companies, social commerce companies on Facebook platforms or other social media platforms. What we do with them is we actually help them instrument, events that happen within their rich applications, and then subsequently kind of provide analytics over the cloud, within our service. And right now we use a combination of Google as well as Amazon technologies to actually help them get those kind of analytics. Just keep going here. This is a couple of screenshots of our product. This is basically the beta product that we announced about 3 weeks back. This is what we call the base analytics. So this is right now focused towards social companies. So you get a lot of insights in terms of what's happening in terms of new players or new users coming in using the app. Then in terms of how viral they are they reaching out to their social network? Are they actually sending a lot of messages to their friends about the app itself? And then finally, everybody wants to actually monetize to see how many of these actually transform into kind of, I would say, commerce transactions. This could be again virtual commerce or real commerce. We are actually, as we speak, working on this. So this is the next step in terms of the analytics. As we said, going back to what I said about actionability, we really want to actually dig deeper into the data so that you can actually segment your players, segment your users, and start acting on them in terms of getting back to them about something that's much more customized in terms of specific offers for certain segments or specific coupons and those kind of things. So that's really the next set of products that we're working on. And finally, it's all coming down to this, right? I mean, if you can actually, on a very consistent basis, be able to identify, kind of sections of your population whose behavior is significantly differentiated from the rest of the people who are using the app, and do this on a very consistent basis, then it's almost like saying you're converting what used to be and the interpretation of analytics, which used to be like an art, which was sitting in a human's mind who knew the business, to something that's more like science, where actually you let the data actually drive what you should be doing in terms of the next steps of increments in your app or changes to your business. So this is the entire loop that we are kind of working on. And this loop is something that we think is applicable to any kind of business. So at this point, the starting point for us is social, but we think that similar approaches are possible even for e-commerce, traditional media, traditional retail, and that's kind of in our bullseye sometime middle of next year. We right now want to stay focused in areas where there's a lot of growth, where there's a lot of need for analytics, because there are so many companies out there which actually don't even have an IT group, which are basically trying to build all of this from scratch. And providing this as a hosted SaaS model kind of a service like a subscription is going to take them so far ahead in terms of being able to compete with the big dogs out there, like the traditional the big gaming companies like Zynga and those kind of things. In terms of I just wanted to put this put this slide in terms of how the cloud has helped us. So very clearly in terms of the ability to reach out to lots of customers and being able to actually scale and time to market. That stack is actually growing up. So the stack from Amazon, the stack from Google Cloud Technologies is actually helping companies like us start to focus much higher in terms of the value add chain, such that what we provide is more like a service that's much closer to what the business wants. And really the infrastructure aspect in terms of the storage, in terms of databases, in terms of even heavy duty data processing is all being kind of in some sense all bundled up and packaged within the cloud stack. And in terms of scalability itself, each of these companies that are actually putting out these apps that are going very viral can actually go to petabytes very, very quickly compared to your traditional enterprise companies. So really in terms of the ability to scale, to process the data, and actually set ourselves up for hockey stick kind